This is as flagrant as conflicts of interest get. You're talking about Elon Musk, who now works for the federal government in some capacity, recommending that the federal government give a $2 billion contract to a private company that he owns.
All right, so yesterday, CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig spoke out against Elon Musk and his push to have the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, scrap a $2.4 billion contract with Verizon. Cenk, do you have any idea who might get that contract instead?
Just coincidentally, total coincidence, it might be Starlink, owned by Tesla. But now the right wing thinks, oh no, he's gonna do it for free. Well, I got bad news for you on that front in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, so you're absolutely right. It's looking like Starlink is going to get that $2.4 billion contract instead of Verizon. So in 2023, Verizon was awarded this $2.4 billion contract by the federal government. And under that contract, Verizon would replace an aging technology called the FAA Enterprise Network Services Program, or FENS. FENS is what the FAA and air traffic control offices use to communicate with each other. And outside reviews have concluded that FENS is indeed in desperate need of repair and updates. And so this is where Elon Musk comes in, because he is nothing if not an opportunist, all in the name of making things great for America again. The Washington Post reports that there are already SpaceX employees who work for or inside the FAA, and they have decided that Starlink should get Verizon's contract. This is reporting from the Washington Post, says the FAA was scheduled to make a final decision on whether to start paying Verizon for the contract next month, said one of two people briefed on the plans who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. But instead, Musk's team determined the job should go to Starlink, the person said. Several senior FAA officials have refused to sign paperwork authorizing the switch, according to the person who has been briefed on the internal deliberations and resulting fallout. So Musk's team is now seeking help from the acting administrator of the agency, Trump appointee Chris Rocheleau, the transportation secretary, Sean P. Duffy. So in fact, the FAA has already started using Starlink. Surprise, surprise. This is from CNN. Says earlier this week, the FAA confirmed that it is testing 3 Starlink terminals. Musk said those terminals were sent to the FAA at no cost to the agency or taxpayers at this time. And he added that the shipment of terminals was done on an emergency basis to restore air traffic control connectivity. Okay, so Musk has now spoken out about this whole situation on X, his own social media platform. Earlier this week, this is what he posted. He said the Verizon system is not working, and so is putting air travelers at serious risk. And then he doubled down later by writing yesterday, to be clear here, the Verizon communication system to air traffic control is breaking down very rapidly. The FAA assessment is single-digit months to catastrophic failure, putting air traveler safety at serious risk. And then Musk issued a correction to those posts, writing this: correction, the ancient system that is rapidly declining in capability was made L3 Harris. The new system that is not yet operational is from Verizon. So this story is crazy. As Cenk was teasing earlier in the show, this is all about corruption. This is all about streamlining. And this is almost like Elon Musk is really, I referred to him in one of my Rebel HQ videos as Pinky and the Brain are running the country, Trump and Elon Musk. Elon Musk is trying to take over the world, right? Every day he wakes up and he's like, what am I gonna do today? Try to take over the world. He wants everything underneath him, under his umbrella of influence, right? This is the FAA. And this is the thing that we've seen happening several times, especially with this administration, but it happens throughout, just the history of government. They say, look, this is something that's bad. They don't do anything to help it get better. Even in the case where this administration is the one that's in charge, they're saying, look, the government can't handle this type of responsibility. The government isn't equipped to deal with something like this. Again, even though the government is in charge, it's the Trump administration. So what they do is they just let it get worse and worse and worse. Then it becomes a PR nightmare. And then people say, look how bad it is. We don't want that. We have to go private. Let's just give it to Elon Musk. So now Elon Musk is just like racking up all these government contracts. I don't know. Cenk, what do you have to say about this?
Okay, so let's break this down. So Musk says, I investigated it, I'm DOGE expert here, and I came in and I realized the problem with the FAA is my competitor. I mean, Verizon. Verizon is a giant problem. They shouldn't have that $2.4 billion contract. 2 minutes later, fine, it's not Verizon, I made that up. Or I'm such an expert, but I didn't know that Verizon didn't have the old contract, they have the new contract. Boy, that gives me a lot of confidence that you know what's going on. So conveniently, you attack the people with the new contract and then had to walk it back later and say, oops, it wasn't them. So Verizon hasn't done anything wrong. In fact, that contract was signed in 2023. They were about to start, these things take forever, right? So now if we stop that contract, which is what the FAA is considering doing right now as we speak, then it'll take a long time for Starlink to get in. Even if they went with Starlink and even if Starlink was better, you're gonna delay it a lot. Now that gets to the second point. How do you know Starlink is better? So when I talk about this online, there's a bunch of right-wingers who are like, oh no, of course, Verizon's terrible. How do you know how good Verizon's communication system is in regards to the FAA? Did you analyze that? Like, where's that assumption coming from? And then they say Starlink is better. Oh, come on, how do you know Starlink is better than Verizon? Are you an expert in federal aviation? That's absurd, that's insane. So, and by the way, guys, I've said this many times on the show, Starlink is an amazing company. So I got no beef with Starlink, and they've got contracts with the government. I don't begrudge them that, etc. But now you're gonna tell me that without even looking at what they're doing, because Elon didn't even know which company it was. He comes in and goes, it's wrong, cancel that 2.4 billion contract. And his team just conveniently says, give it to Elon's company. Nah, that's not just, conflict of interest doesn't do that justice. That's out and out corruption. Even if somehow they miraculously proved overnight to the FAA that they were wrong about this 2-year process where they picked this company, and they convinced them in 1 day or a couple of days that Starlink is better, and they should go junk this entire process, junk all the money they already spent on it, which by the way, isn't cost savings at all. It actually adds costs, but just switch it over to Elon Musk company. Guys, I still would say no. That's insane, that's insane. That's like me going into a Bernie Sanders administration and going, oh, they have a contract with CNN that's for $2 billion. No, CNN is terrible, I'm canceling. I mean, CNN might be terrible, but I'm canceling and giving it to TYT. Everyone would normally have the reaction of like, really? And you decided that as soon as you came in, that was the right thing to do. And then he throws this thing out there, like I already gave Starlink for free. And then you look at right wing on social media. He's doing it for free, he's doing it for free. No, he's not, guys. It's a trick. He's letting them test Starlink for free. If I was gonna get a $2 billion contract, I'd let you test things too for free. Of course. They're gonna just transfer the money to Elon Musk. Why? Return on investment. The brother spent $270 million on Donald Trump's campaign, so he wants his investment returned, and getting a 2.4 billion contract, let alone all the other things they're about to do. That alone would pay for his investment in bribing, contributing to Donald Trump. Maz.
Yeah, I think it's time for MAGA to realize that Trump is making Elon great again. It's mega, because to your point, he paid that money. I believe that was either actually said or it was implied when Elon was saying, hey, I can put this $270 million into your campaign, and if you win, you will avoid going to prison. And I think that probably played out somehow, and it's now at this point where Donald Trump's mind is going, well, you're gonna profit, we're all profiting. He didn't divest himself. He was making money from his hotels in this first presidency. And Elon, if he were to do this right, he would either have to get out of DOGE and say, I'm not involved with the government, and now I want to, try and challenge Verizon and show you why we're better, and then get the contract, or divest from Starlink and be a government person. But he is not doing that. He is just sitting here right in front of our eyes, just bribing his way through stuff, making profits. And I really don't understand why MAGA has not rebelled against this, because once again, the promise was day one, your life is going to get better. Things are going to get cheaper. Inflation is going to go down. And it's the opposite. We just saw that consumer confidence has dropped. The stock market has been dropping, and egg prices have been rising. Other prices have been rising. Inflation has gotten worse. So at what point do these people not realize that the grift is on? The grift is on. It's been on from day one, because that's who they voted for, a grifter. And now he's just found all these other grifters, and you got all these tech bros, and we got an oligarchy, and they're just running roughshod all over this. And it's not even that they're doing it as much as it's what you were saying, these right-wing people that just keep defending the guy. I go, why do you keep defending the guy? Are you like, is he your brother? Is he your uncle? Is he your grandfather? No, they just can't admit that they're wrong in handing the country over to these thieves, and that's where we're at. So.
Well, Maz, not just is the stock market down, but Elon Musk, his own Tesla stocks are down pretty significantly. I don't know if that is an indicator that something good it might be happening, at least with consumer confidence in him and his companies, that he really isn't running right now. We actually did see some evidence of that in David Portnoy's tweet from the other story that we covered earlier on the show. But to answer your question, Maz, I think one of the reasons why people just let him do things like this is because of his branding, right? His whole brand is that he is an American genius. He is an American innovator, even though he's not American at all. And people really need to believe that there are people out there in the world who are rich and powerful and are looking out for them, right? And anything that somebody like Elon Musk or even Donald Trump does that they don't really understand, they say, you know what, they're smarter than me because they have more money than me. And they must know something that I don't. They must know what they're doing and I don't get it. But eventually, all this good stuff that they're doing is going to trickle down all the way to me and my family. And I'm going to feel happy and satisfied and safe here in the United States of America like I'm supposed to feel. And they're just waiting to feel better. And they're putting all of their energy into these people who are not looking out for them at all. And I fear that they are going to be very disappointed eventually if, that's a big if they ever realize that they were duped by these people.
Okay, last things here, guys. Just so you know, Elie or Elie Honig on CNN is correct. When you give yourself a government contract when you're inside the government, that is illegal. That's not just, that was a slight violation of etiquette. In 2020 and 2021, 10 such prosecutions, 2020, 12 prosecutions, 2019, 13 prosecutions. So this is a thing that you can go to prison for. Now they're just doing it out in the open. So, but will there be any consequences? Well, the people who usually check in on that are the inspector generals. The only problem is the very first thing they did when the Trump team got in charge was they fired all the inspector generals. The people who would be the only ones who could watch the watchers, they got rid of them first. Not a good sign, not at all a good sign. By the way, Elon is a US citizen, but the rest of it holds. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.